Hello my friends, and welcome back to Daily English Voices. Take a slow breath, soften your shoulders, and let your mind arrive. This is not just another lesson to play in the background while you scroll. This is focus time we are giving to your future self. Today we're not only training English, we're training the mind that uses English, the mind that asks better questions, builds stronger systems, and keeps its promises when motivation disappears. Genius, in this episode, is not a trophy for the gifted, it's a practice for the patient. If you stay with me, ideas will come in clear, simple language. You'll hear them, speak them, and teach them. Your English will sharpen while your thinking grows more precise. That is the quiet superpower we're building together, language and clarity, rising side by side. Let's begin by separating two words most people mix up, knowing and understanding. Knowing is fragile, it lives in short-term memory and fears interruptions. Understanding is strong, it bends, survives, and adapts. If you only know, you can repeat what you heard. If you understand, you can explain it to a child, rebuild it from pieces, and use it in a messy real situation. How do you test this? Try to explain the idea simply. If your mouth freezes or your explanation gets longer and foggier, beautiful, now you have a map of where to study next. After this episode, choose one idea that matters: discipline, confidence, English fluency, pricing your work, managing stress. Write 4 or 5 plain sentences for a smart 10-year-old. No big words, no jargon. If you can do that, you own the idea. If you can't, you have discovered precisely where to grow. Understanding thrives on honest questions. Most of us were trained to collect answers, not to hunt for the right questions. We learned to copy what worked for someone else and paste it onto our own life. But copying gives you yesterday's solutions to today's problems. The alternative is to think from the root, what philosophers call first principles thinking. Imagine designing a coffee cup that never burns your hand and resists spills in a moving car. The copying approach says, let me see what top brands are doing and do the same. The root approach asks, what is a cup for? What physics make liquid slosh? What geometry resists acceleration? What materials block heat affordably? Strip the problem to simple truths: heat moves by conduction and convection, sloshing follows acceleration and container shape, a lower center of gravity increases stability and solutions pop out, a double-walled shell, a wider base, internal baffles beneath the lid. Cheaper. Simpler. Better. That's first principles. You remove what is borrowed or assumed. You rebuild from facts and constraints. Bring that mindset to English. The surface approach says, I'll watch 100 random videos and hope fluency arrives. The root approach asks, what is language made of? Sounds become words, words become phrases, phrases become stories and explanations. If that's true, then the path is obvious. Train your ear with daily listening, train your mouth with deliberate sound practice, train your mind with daily retelling. Suddenly your routine becomes simple and powerful. Listen once for the big picture, shadow short chunks for rhythm and music, then retell in your own words. Not a hack. A structure built from truth. There's a modern obstacle we must name: noise. Your day can fill with other people's voices before your own has time to wake up. Notifications at dawn. Headphones at breakfast. Reels at lunch. Commentary while you walk. Advice from strangers before bed. You cannot think clearly if you never hear your own mind, and you cannot hear your own mind if you're always listening to someone else's. The fix is not a mountain monastery. It's a small, stubborn practice of silence. 20 minutes. No music. No screen. Walk if you like, sit if you prefer. In the first minutes your mind complains, then it begins to sort. In quiet, your brain stops firefighting and starts engineering. Whisper a question into the space: what am I avoiding? Which small skill would change everything if I trained it for 30 days? Which promise to myself am I ready to keep? And let the silence answer. Don't yank at thoughts. Let them land like birds. If you chase them, they fly. If you get quiet, they come closer on their own. Now let's convert knowledge into mastery with a habit most people skip: teach what you learn. Reading loads the shelves, teaching organizes the shelves. After you learn a phrase, a mindset, or a technique, close the tab and speak it back in your own words. Pretend you're explaining it to a younger cousin. Record a 1-minute voice note: today I learned that fluency begins with clear thought. My plan is listen, shadow retell. If you stumble, that's a gift. You just found your weak link. If you speak it cleanly, you've locked it in. The learning loop becomes simple: learn, explain, refine, repeat. Do this daily for 6 weeks and you will sound like a different person, not because you memorized more, but because you organized more. None of this matters if your attention is sliced into crumbs. The internet pays you in dopamine for chasing 10 priorities at once and then blames you when none of them grow. Deep progress requires depth of focus. Choose one mission for the next 30 days and defend it like a border. If your mission is speaking English clearly, everything else becomes supporting cast. You don't need perfect software or expensive gear. You need a small set of actions repeated until they are part of your nervous system. People warn that repetition is boring. Real mastery isn't mindless repetition, it's mindful refinement. The same move at higher resolution. The same sentence with cleaner stress. The same paragraph with gentler breath. The same explanation with fewer words and more power. Curiosity fuels this depth. When you were small, everything was a question. Why does the sky look different at sunset? Why do people talk faster when they're nervous? Why do some words feel heavier? Then school trained you to stop asking and start answering. Bring your questions back. Real curiosity is not dramatic, it's consistent and specific. Why do my questions fall flat on calls? Why does my energy crash after lunch? Why do I feel fake when I speak slowly? Keep a small notebook, your curiosity journal. Write down one question each day. Spend 5 minutes chasing one of them. You don't need final truths, you need movement. A Renaissance visionary once wrote notes about the tongue of a woodpecker. Silly? Not at all. That curiosity helped him design mechanisms that absorb shocks. Your woodpecker might be ordinary too. Why do some phrases stick in memory? Why does a 2-second pause before my main point make people lean in? Follow small questions to big upgrades. Systems protect curiosity from chaos. Motivation is a teenager, moody, dramatic, inconsistent. Systems are adults, steady, boring, effective. A beehive doesn't rely on inspiration, it runs on roles, timing, temperature, and feedback. If one bee stops, the structure continues. You don't need a corporate playbook to borrow this wisdom. You need a routine that works on your worst day. For English, try this minimum viable system: a 10-minute listen in the morning, a 5-minute shadow at lunch, a 2-minute retell before bed. On strong days you do more. On weak days you do the minimum and keep the chain unbroken. That's how identities are built, not with dramatic weekend marathons, but with quiet weekday repetitions. If your day is packed, cut the routine in half, not out. 2 minutes spoken today is infinitely more valuable than a promise of an hour tomorrow that never happens. To make your system resilient, add 3 design choices: friction removal, clear triggers, and forgiving recovery. Friction removal means preparing the path so the smallest version of practice is easy. Headphones by the kettle. A short script on your lock screen. A recorder app on your first home screen. Clear triggers means tying practice to existing habits. After coffee, shadow. After lunch, retell. Before bed, whisper 3 sentences. Forgiving recovery means that when life interrupts your streak, you restart without drama. The rule is simple: never miss twice. A broken chain is not a verdict, it's an invitation to tie the next knot. Let's enrich your mental toolkit with 5 more thinking habits: inversion, second-order thinking, constraint design, deliberate practice, and feedback loops. Inversion means thinking backward. Instead of only asking, "How can I succeed?" ask, "How would I guarantee failure?" If you wanted to ruin your English progress, you'd change methods every 3 days, chase complex grammar before basic rhythm, practice only when you feel inspired, and avoid hearing your own recorded voice. Now invert the list, choose a method for a month, train rhythm before complexity, practice small even when uninspired, and record yourself weekly. Second-order thinking means considering consequences of consequences. Watching fast, chaotic content might feel like listening practice, but the second-order effect is a shorter attention span and weaker patience for slower, realistic speech. Choosing slower, clearer input trains the patience you'll need in real conversations. Constraint design is the art of using limits to force creativity and clarity. Give yourself a 1-minute explanation limit for any idea. Force your vocabulary to the top 500 words for a whole week. Describe your day using only the past simple, then retell using the present perfect. Constraints make the mind inventive. Deliberate practice isolates microskills. Instead of vague, speaking practice, choose a specific target, linking final consonants to initial vowels, landing your main stress once per sentence, opening your mouth on long vowels, pausing after the first clause. Work 5 minutes on a single microskill. That's where speed quietly comes from: precision first, speed second. Feedback loops turn practice into progress. Record on Monday, compare to last Monday, write 1 sentence of feedback to yourself, adjust 1 variable, repeat. You can't steer a parked car, feedback is how you drive. Energy matters, too, because your brain is not a floating software, it's a physical organ with batteries. You don't need athletic perfection. You need guardrails. Sleep is your memory factory, protect it with a simple ritual: lights down 30 minutes earlier, screens out of the bedroom, a short breath pattern, 4 in, 6 out, to tell your nervous system it's safe to rest. Movement is brain fertilizer. A 15-minute walk after lunch improves mood and digestion and makes your afternoon practice calmer. Hydration and light matter. A glass of water on waking and morning light in your eyes stabilize your clock. These are not hacks, they are conditions that make attention possible. Let's put all this into a simple day that real people can live. You wake and resist the urge to scroll. 3 slow breaths. You whisper, "My mission today is to train clear speech." You listen to a short piece once for the big picture. You shadow tiny chunks for 5 minutes, smiling to keep your jaw loose. At lunch you retell the piece in your own words, even if you forget details, you invent your own so the idea chain stays unbroken. On your commute or walk, you give yourself 5 minutes of silence and ask a question you wrote in your curiosity journal. A small answer appears. Before bed, you record a 2-minute summary of your day in simple English. You don't grade it, you just capture it. That's a day. Not glamorous. Effective. Once a week, zoom out. Do a route check. Pick a frustration: I keep skipping practice, I freeze on calls, my sentences get messy, and break it down to facts. Skipping practice is friction. Identify the exact barrier, time window too vague, materials too far away, practice too big. Shrink the step. Put the material in reach. Lock the time to a trigger. Freezing on calls. The route might be a fast opening. Train a calmer start. Write and speak 3 opening lines a day for a week. Hi, thanks for taking the time. Can you hear me clearly? You're not weak, you're untrained in a microskill. Train it. Messy sentences. Root cause might be breath. For 7 days, try 1 idea per breath. Long idea, 2 breaths. Don't fight the body, collaborate with it. Let me give you a handful of miniature scenes you can carry mental photographs. You're on a quiet sidewalk, no headphones, hands in pockets, eyes soft. Your thoughts line up like patient students. You nod, file them, and keep walking. You're at a table with a cheap timer. It's set for 5 minutes. You say the same paragraph 3 times, cleaner each round. On the 3rd try, your main stress lands exactly where you wanted. You smile. You're looking at a calendar with small check marks, not dramatic streaks, just little, yes, marks that add up to proof. You're a craftsperson of attention, not a tourist of motivation. Perfectionism will try to sneak in dressed as high standards. Be kind but firm. High standards are about direction, perfectionism is about fear. You don't need perfect sentences, you need consistent ones. Think like an architect, not a judge. Judges punish. Architects adjust. When you hear a recording and cringe, remember, you can't edit silence, but you can edit sound. Speak, listen, adjust. Again tomorrow. That's how sculptors work, with gentle strikes, not angry swings. Procrastination isn't laziness, it's mismanaged emotion plus unclear starting steps. Dissolve it with truth and tiny starts. Ask, what feels heavy? Usually the first step is oversized. Make it 2 minutes. Open the file. Press play. Whisper 1 line. The brain hates starting and loves continuing. Earn continuation with a small start, and don't break the chain. If you do break it, no speeches, no shame. Step back onto the path and take 2 minutes now. Protect your inputs. You do not need a choir of mentors. Choose 1 or 2 voices you trust and turn down the rest. Follow fewer people more deeply. Keep a small library of repeatable inputs for tired days, a favorite story, a paragraph with music you love, a clear monologue you can shadow without effort. Familiar content is a gym for precision, new content is a gym for adaptability. Cycle between them. Confidence will not arrive as a lightning strike, it will assemble itself from evidence. Every time you show up for 2 minutes when you didn't want to, you teach your nervous system a quiet lesson: I can rely on me. Confidence is the memory of kept promises. The mirror will not announce it. Your calendar will. Let's craft a 7-day microcontract, no bullet points, just a flow you can read and live. On day 1 you listen once, shadow briefly, and retell for 2 minutes. On day 2 you repeat the pattern and record the retell, then you leave a short note to your future self about one thing you did well. On day 3 you teach a friend or your own phone one idea you learned, because teaching is the lock on the learning. On day 4 you give yourself a silent walk with 1 question in your pocket and accept any answer that appears, even if it is incomplete. On day 5 you remove 1 friction from your setup, put the headphones by the kettle, pin the script to your lock screen, create a 1-tap recorder shortcut. On day 6 you return to a favorite paragraph and make it cleaner, not faster, just more controlled. On day 7 you review your tiny notes and write 5 sentences about what changed, not in grand adjectives, but in small observations. My first clause is calmer, I pause more, I mumble less, I feel less hurry. 7 days become a pattern. Patterns become identity. Extend the horizon. In a 30-day window, expect plateaus. They are not walls, they are rest stops for your nervous system. When progress pauses, don't change methods immediately. Double down on basics. Use constraints, 1 minute per explanation, top 500 words only, questions before advice. When boredom knocks, don't panic. Boredom is often just your brain asking for a new angle on the same skill. Add a game. Can I explain this idea with fewer words than yesterday? Can I land my main stress on the most meaningful word every time? Can I keep my mouth slightly open on long vowels for a whole paragraph? Tiny games produce giant control. Some days you will feel like a fraud. Everyone on a real path does. When that feeling arrives, put it to work. Fraud feelings thrive in vagueness and die in specificity. Name 3 things you did today that a past version of you could not do. Name 1 micro skill you're training that average learners ignore. Name 1 promise you kept in the last 48 hours. Fraud fades in the light of facts. Let's layer in identity. At first you try to learn English. After a while you become a person who speaks and improves English daily. That identity is not an Instagram bio, it's a pattern of action. You don't have to declare it, you can simply live it. The world will notice. You will notice more. Eventually your mind stops negotiating every session. The question is no longer, do I feel like practicing? It becomes, what is today's smallest repeatable practice? That is freedom. I want to give you a few micro techniques for immediate polish. Start your important sentence slower than you think you should. A calm first clause buys clarity for the whole idea. Put your main stress on the word that carries the meaning, not on filler words. If you're unsure, shrink the sentence and find the word you would underline. Let 1 breath equal 1 idea. If you need 2 breaths, take them. Silence is not failure, it is punctuation. Smile lightly when you shadow, a relaxed face improves sound automatically. When you explain, prefer short verbs over long nouns, choose, decide, instead of, make a decision, help, instead of, provide assistance. That small choice clears space in every sentence. Before we close, picture your life 6 months from now if you live this. Not a fantasy. A dashboard, fewer tabs open, fewer teachers, deeper practice, a short curiosity list you actually explore, a calendar with many small check marks, a voice memo folder full of 1-minute explanations, a calmer opening in every conversation, the honest pride that arrives when you keep a promise to yourself longer than your old record. It won't look dramatic to strangers. It will feel dramatic to you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are here, and here is the only place change ever begins. Genius is not a thunderclap, it is the daily choice to trade noise for silence, copying for questions, panic for systems, speed for depth, performance for practice. It is the courage to focus on one thing until it becomes unignorably strong. It is the humility to explain simply. It is the curiosity to chase a small, strange question until it unlocks a big, useful insight. It is the discipline to return tomorrow. If 1 sentence today lit a small lamp inside you, keep it close and use it to light the first step. Whisper a clean line about the person you are becoming. Then move while the idea is still warm. Stand up slowly. Roll your shoulders back. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Place your phone face down, set a tiny timer, and begin the smallest version of your practice. Listen, shadow, retell. Let the work be small and honest. Let the days stack. Let evidence replace doubt. And if this time together spoke to you, if the clarity and calm felt like home, subscribe to Daily English Voices right now. Around here we don't worship talent, we train it. We don't collect tips, we build systems. We don't wait for perfect moments, we design sturdy days. Join this community and bring your curiosity, your patience, and your 2 minutes of courage. We will walk with you simple steps, steady breath, better questions, clearer speech until the upgrades in your mind and your English become obvious to everyone, especially you. Thank you for giving your attention so generously. Your next life doesn't begin later. It begins the moment you begin.